When we think of Christmas in the 1960s and 70s, turkey and ham may come to mind first, but that barely scratches the surface. Those decades were a golden age of holiday entertaining, where food wasn't just sustenance. It was spectacle, sophistication, and a statement of style. From suburban living rooms to elegant cocktail parties, the table was a stage, and the dishes were the stars. Mini sandwiches, seafood bites, and lavish canapé platters transformed ordinary gatherings into glittering celebrations. Lobster thermidor whispered luxury in bite-sized portions, while shrimp salad and smoked salmon elevated even the humblest living rooms into spaces of worldly taste. Cheese and fruit combinations, spicy nuts, and meticulously layered sandwich loaves delighted the eye as much as the palate, turning preparation itself into an art form. Every detail mattered. Crusts were trimmed with precision. Sandwiches were sliced into perfect triangles or spirals. Finger foods weren't just convenient, they were symbols of hospitality, creativity, and pride. Hostesses balanced flavor, presentation, and social expectation, knowing that the right dish could make a party unforgettable. Even humble favorites like pimento cheese, ham salad, or cucumber tea sandwiches carried an air of elegance when served on silver trays, alongside sparkling punch bowls and vintage holiday decor. Christmas in mid-century America was a feast for the senses. The sight of colorful aspects, the aroma of creamy spreads, and the taste of delicate pastries and savory bites created memories that lasted a lifetime. These dishes were more than food, they were rituals, conversation starters, and proof that holiday magic could be measured in flavors, textures, and creativity. Step back in time, and you'll see a world where every Christmas table told a story of ingenuity, style, and the joyous art of entertaining. This is the story of those iconic retro holiday dishes, each bite a tiny time capsule of mid-century celebration and charm. The holiday spread of the 60s rarely began without a tray of pimento cheese finger sandwiches, delicate little rectangles filled with a fiery, creamy blend of cheddar, mayonnaise, and minced pimentos. They were the kind of bites that felt both playful and sophisticated, the sort of thing a well-prepared hostess could assemble hours ahead, yet still serve with pride. Guests loved them because they were familiar, comforting, and undeniably festive with their Christmas red flecks. And once the first plate emptied, the party moved gracefully into something cooler and more refreshing. Cucumber tea sandwiches brought a whisper of elegance to the holiday table, a nod to English tea time that American homes eagerly adopted in the 60s and 70s. Thin, crisp slices of cucumber layered over lightly buttered white bread made each bite impossibly refreshing. Their simplicity was their charm. No frills, no fuss, just clean flavors that balanced the richness of heavier dishes. And as the evening warmed with chatter and music, the sandwiches grew heartier, shifting from crisp vegetables to savory classics. Chicken salad minis were the darlings of mid-century gatherings, creamy, peppery, and filled with tender shredded chicken folded into mayonnaise and celery. They were small enough to enjoy in a single bite, yet satisfying enough to anchor the entire appetizer table. Whether served on pillowy rolls or neatly trimmed white bread squares, they offered comfort in the most nostalgic way. But no retro Christmas buffet was complete without its show-stopping centerpiece, something tall, dramatic, and impossible to ignore. The frosted sandwich loaf was the undisputed diva of the 1960s holiday party, a towering rectangle of layered fillings wrapped in savory cream cheese frosting. Inside, colorful stripes of ham salad, egg salad, and olive spread stacked like edible holiday ribbons. Hostesses revealed it with pride, knowing it was part food, part performance. Sliced thin, it fed a crowd with ease. And after such grandeur, the table welcomed a return to more familiar, comforting flavors. Ham salad sandwiches were a beloved staple, offering sweet savory nostalgia in every bite. Minced ham mixed with relish, mustard, and mayonnaise created a spread that felt both homey and festive. Served on soft rolls or cut into bite-sized squares, they were the kind of sandwiches people reached for without thinking. Yet right next to them, another classic waited mild, creamy, and perfect for balancing out the salty richness of ham. Egg salad sandwiches brought a gentle, comforting note to the Christmas platter. Fluffy chopped eggs folded with mayo, a hint of relish, and a sprinkle of paprika made them soothing and familiar. In the 60s and 70s, they were the safe sandwich everyone liked them, and they paired beautifully with stronger flavors. But the holiday season also called for bold, seasonal pairings, especially one that blended Thanksgiving leftovers with Christmas spirit. These mini sandwiches captured holiday nostalgia in a single bite. Thin slices of turkey layered with tart cranberry sauce created a sweet-savory harmony that felt unmistakably festive. Served on soft dinner rolls, they appeared at both Thanksgiving leftovers tables and Christmas cocktail parties, becoming a bridge between the seasons. Their popularity paved the way for sandwiches that were not just seasonal but fun to look at. Pinwheel sandwiches were the playful stars of 60s entertaining. Soft bread rolled around colorful spreads, pimento cheese, herb cream cheese, or ham salad, then sliced into spirals that looked like edible ornaments. They were whimsical, charming, and endlessly customizable. And just as guests admired their vibrant swirls, another delicately flavored tea sandwich offered a quieter kind of elegance. These sandwiches delivered a briny, creamy bite that felt refined without being fussy. Finely chopped green olives folded into whipped cream cheese made a spread that tasted both luxurious and nostalgic. Cut into small squares or triangles, they added a Mediterranean wink to the American holiday platter. But soon the aromas grew bolder, drifting toward the New York deli influence that swept through 70s party menus. Mini pastrami on rye sandwiches brought big city flair to suburban gatherings. Peppery pastrami stacked on seeded rye with a smear of mustard offered a savory punch guests weren't likely to forget. They were hearty, bold, and perfect for the colder months. And once rye joined the party, it opened the door for another beloved classic of the era. Smoked salmon on rye offered subtle luxury, a silky, smoky slice of salmon laid over buttered rye, often topped with a whisper of dill or a ribbon of lemon zest. In the 60s and 70s, this was considered impressively cosmopolitan. From here, egg lovers were treated to a richer, more decadent twist on the classic egg salad. Deviled egg salad sandwiches took the familiar and turned up the flavor. Paprika, mustard, and a hint of vinegar transformed traditional egg salad into something bold and tangy, reminiscent of deviled eggs passed around on silver trays. But seafood lovers didn't have to wait long. The next offering brought ocean freshness to the holiday table. Tuna salad sandwiches were a comforting mid-century staple, creamy, peppery, and often brightened with celery or chopped pickles. They balanced luxury with simplicity, giving guests something recognizable amid the more elaborate spreads. Yet for a true taste of retro coastal glamour, shrimp had its moment to shine next. Shrimp salad sandwiches were the epitome of understated elegance. Tender shrimp tossed in a lemony, creamy dressing created a cool, refreshing bite that felt perfect for winter parties. They were light yet indulgent, making them ideal between heavier Christmas dishes. And for those wanting a pop of color, the pimento-olive combination returned in miniature form. These tiny bites packed surprising flavor, sharp cheddar, piquant pimentos, and briny olives brought together into a punchy, addictive appetizer. They looked festive on the plate, like tiny ornaments guests couldn't resist reaching for. Their cheerful presence set the stage for something sweet, tropical, and entirely delightful. Cheese and pineapple bites offered the sweet savory charm that mid-century hosts adored. A cube of cheddar paired with juicy pineapple created a bright, playful contrast. They tasted like sunshine in the middle of winter, exactly the kind of whimsy that 60s Christmas parties embraced. But the platter soon grew heartier again, with something open-faced and boldly seasoned. These savory bites delivered pure retro drama. Thin slices of roast beef draped over rye or pumpernickel, topped with a dollop of fiery horseradish cream. They were bold, wintry, and deeply satisfying, an unmistakable nod to holiday roasts. And nearby, a sandwich that starred the humble green olive brought a nostalgic comfort. This simple yet beloved sandwich featured chopped green olives and bright pimentos bound together in a creamy spread. Its salty tang made it a perfect counterpoint to richer meats and cheeses. In many households, it was a Christmas-only treat. Next, another warm, indulgent classic made its annual appearance. The Kentucky Hot Brown was a decadent open-faced sandwich layered with turkey, tomatoes, and creamy Mornay sauce, then broiled until golden. Though born at the Brown Hotel, it became a festive favorite during the holidays, especially for families craving something warm and luxurious. But not all retro sandwiches were elegant, some were deliciously humble. Deviled ham sandwiches brought a zesty kick to the party. Minced ham mixed with mustard, hot sauce, and spices created a bold, tangy spread beloved in the 60s and 70s. Served on small rolls or crackers, they disappeared quickly from the table. And finally, the platter circled back to seafood, this time in its most glamorous form. Lobster thermidor appetizers were the crown jewel of any mid-century Christmas gathering. Tiny pastry shells or toasted rounds held a luxurious mixture of tender lobster, folded into a creamy, brandy-kissed sauce with mushrooms and a hint of Dijon. A sprinkle of Gruyere melted into a golden crust on top, giving each bite a rich, elegant finish. In the warm glow of 1960s holiday lights, these dainty morsels felt almost extravagant, proof that even suburban homes could channel a Parisian supper club for one magical night. Guests savored them slowly, knowing they were the evening's most indulgent treat. Cranberry cream cheese squares brought a jewel-like brightness to holiday gatherings. A layer of whipped cream cheese spread softly over cocktail bread created the perfect canvas for a spoonful of ruby-red cranberry relish. Sweet, tangy, and beautifully glossy, these little squares looked like stained glass windows under warm Christmas lights. Guests loved them because they felt both modern and festive, an effortless infusion of color amid the table's earthier tones. And with their refreshing sweetness, they flowed perfectly into a dish that celebrated classic American comfort. Though not technically a sandwich, meatball skewers became a Christmas cocktail party staple of the late 60s and 70s. Tiny, tender meatballs glazed in grape jelly and chili sauce, yes, the iconic retro pairing, were threaded onto toothpicks and served warm. The combination was unexpectedly addictive, sweet, smoky, and richly savory. They added a cozy heartiness to the appetizer spread and stood as the ultimate crowd pleaser. Their bold flavor and glossy appearance set the stage for another bite-sized indulgence born from mid-century creativity. Cheese soufflé squares were the elegant answer for hosts who wanted something warm, airy, and unmistakably impressive. Baked in large pans, cooled, then cut into neat, golden squares, they offered a delicate yet deeply satisfying bite. The texture, fluffy, buttery, and almost custard-like, felt decadently French, yet accessible enough for any American hostess of the 70s to prepare. Served alongside cocktails or placed among the sandwich platters, they added a touch of refinement. And as guests enjoyed their delicate richness, the table welcomed one final, celebratory bite. Shrimp cocktail was the superstar of the 1960s holiday season, and the canapé version made it even more glamorous. A crisp cracker or toast round topped with a swirl of cocktail sauce, and a perfectly chilled shrimp created a bite-sized indulgence that guests instantly recognized. It was retro luxury at its finest, bright, briny, refreshing, and effortlessly chic. The vivid red of the sauce, the soft pink shrimp, and the crunch beneath made every canapé feel like a festive ornament. And with that final note, the retro Christmas table of the 60s-70s was complete, colorful, nostalgic, and wonderfully alive. In the end, these mid-century holiday dishes, whether lavish or delightfully simple, remind us of something far more enduring than flavor. They remind us of a time when people cooked not out of obligation, but out of affection, when every tray carried to the table felt like a small act of devotion. In those dimly lit living rooms, wrapped in the warm hum of Christmas lights, food became more than sustenance. It became a language of care. You can almost picture it, the quiet clatter of serving spoons, the smell of something broiled and bubbling drifting through a drafty hallway, the soft music crackling from a radio that had already survived a decade, someone's mother smoothing the top of a sandwich loaf with the back of a butter knife, someone's father carving roast beef as if it were a yearly ritual carved into time itself, and the children wide-eyed, impatient, waiting for the moment the first plate would finally be passed around. These dishes weren't remembered because they were perfect. They were remembered because they made people feel held, welcomed, and gathered. They stitched families together in ways that were as invisible as they were profound. And perhaps that is why, half a century later, the sight of a ribbon sandwich loaf or a tiny canapé still pulls at something deep within us. Not because of the taste, though the taste was good, but because they carry the memory of hands that prepared them, voices that filled the room, and moments that felt too ordinary at the time to realize they would one day become precious. Christmas is never measured in the price of a gift, but in the warmth we offer each other. And these dishes, humble, whimsical, extravagant, forgotten, continue to remind us of that truth year after year.